I'm joined by Brigadier General Amir Avivi. He's the founder and chairman of IDSF based in Tel Aviv, and during his service held a series of senior roles at the Israeli Defense Force. Appreciate your joining us, sir. You might have heard the Palestinian view. They're saying they're ready to hand over the hostages if Israel commits to a ceasefire. It's Israel which is expanding the theater of war, Netanyahu in particular, for his political survival.
Okay, let's remember what happened here. Hamas attacked Israel unprovoked, massacred 1,200 people, burned people alive, raped women, decapitated heads of children. This is what Hamas did, and also took hostages. Now, Israel set very clear goals of war in Gaza: to eradicate Hamas, which is a terror organization, to eradicate Hamas as a military and governmental entity, to bring back all the hostages, and to create a reality in Gaza where never again there will be a terror army. Hamas has grown a terror organization the size of all of ISIS, and also the techniques and way of doing things like ISIS. Israel cannot have a terror army on its borders, and therefore Israel is willing to do a limited ceasefire to get the hostages, but not enable Hamas to end the war in a way that Hamas will rebuild itself from scratch, and in a year will have again a huge terror army.
No, but we've got a Palestinian voice today, Mr. Barghouti, saying they are ready to return the hostages in return for a ceasefire. Is Israel ready to accept that, or does Israel believe that this is now a war to the finish? Well, forget Hamas. You're now targeting Hezbollah as well. I
explained very clearly. We are willing for a short ceasefire. We are not willing to let Hamas stay in power. Israel is going to eradicate Hamas. When we finish the war, there will be no Hamas. No jihad.
But in the process, you've got thousands of civilians, as you see, have died. I mean, where does this stop, sir? Where does this stop?
So it will stop when Hamas will be eradicated and all our hostages will be back. And we're not killing thousands of citizens. We send the citizens to a designated humanitarian area, which is safe, in a place where we don't attack. We're fighting terrorists. Some of them, I mean, the way they operate is to use citizens as human shields. This makes things more complicated. But Israel is doing everything it can to prevent hitting citizens. And this is why every place Israel went to fight, we ask the citizens to move to the designated humanitarian area, where we're also providing all the food and water and everything they need. So we're really focusing on fighting the terrorists, not citizens.
You're saying you're fighting on focusing the terrorists and not the civilians. Let me though turn to what's happened with the Hezbollah. You've attacked today, once again bombarded Beirut. You've also spread it to Damascus. Now, the Lebanese foreign minister told CNN International that actually Hassan Nasrallah was ready for a ceasefire, a 21-day ceasefire brokered at the United Nations. What happens next? You assassinate him. Is it that Israel simply wants to use this opportunity to finish not just Hamas, but also finish the Hezbollah, that you're not willing to even consider a ceasefire at the moment?
Hezbollah attacked unprovoked. They attacked Israel 11 months ago without us, doing anything. They shot us for 11 months. We had to evacuate 60,000 Israeli citizens from their homes. They shot Israeli homes. They shot Israeli citizens for 11 months. After 11 months, Israel has shifted the center of gravity from Gaza to the north to restore security. And the goal of war is to create the terms to bring back these Israeli citizens safely home to an environment where they can actually live. Now, Hezbollah was planning to do exactly the same massacre Hamas did. They built tunnels on our borders. They brought tens of thousands of terrorists. We know what they wanted to do. We have the maps. We have everything. And now, in order to bring back security, we need to create a buffer zone north of our towns to make sure they cannot attack. Now, Hezbollah was very surprised by how effective Israel's attack was, and they got into a state of shock and awe, and they wanted a ceasefire to rearm and regroup. We're not going to give them time to rearm, to regroup. We are going to create the terms needed to bring back safely our citizens home, and also in this case, Israel has asked the Lebanese citizens to move north. So they're not in the area of fighting. and the Israeli Defense Forces are fighting now, fierce fight, with Hezbollah terrorists in South Lebanon. And when this will end, this area will be clean of terrorists, and we will be able to bring back our citizens safely. I want to remind both Hamas and Hezbollah attacked Israel unprovoked and started a war. And when you start a war, when you kill citizens, there is repercussions.
No, but Lebanon now says 1,970 Lebanese citizens, including children, have been killed in the last few days of bombings. The question therefore arises, you're saying you have to finish Hamas and Hezbollah. You believe they are threats. You're doing this in self-defense. But is the attack disproportionate to what happened on October 7th? The question is, how do you reach a point where you say, look, we are now ready for a ceasefire? Because otherwise, as I keep repeating, some more and more civilians will die.
This is war. And what can we do that these terrorists hide behind citizens? We're trying to do it the best we can. There will be no ceasefire until we win. We are going to eradicate them, these terror organizations. These vicious terror organizations that have raped women, burned people alive, decapitated the dead of children. These terrorist organizations cannot exist. Israel is doing the war in the most human, pinpointed way any country in the world has ever done.
So 50,000 civilians, you're saying it's a human way, but 50,000 Palestinians, according to the Palestinians, have died. But let me turn to Iran. Iran hits you with the ballistic missile strikes 2 days ago. Netanyahu responds saying that Iran will pay a heavy price at a time of our calling. Do you believe that now the next step will be Israel targeting directly Tehran, including possibly its oil and nuclear installations, or is that a threat?
So we need to, zoom out for a moment and understand that what we see in the Middle East is Iran really terrorizing the whole Middle East. Iran is seeking nuclear weapons. Iran has weaponized terror armies all over the Middle East, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Gaza. It's not only terrorizing Israel, it's terrorizing the whole Middle East. Today, they are in a front with Russia. They're backed up by the Chinese economy. You have a whole front that is endangering, by the way, all Western society and not only the West. So this is really a global war. This is not just about Israel. It's a regional war. Israel maybe is caught in the middle of all of this, but this is something much, much bigger. We know the Houthis, with orders from Iran, are preventing ships from moving in the Red Sea, really stopping international trade. This is not about Israel. Now, Iranians want to eliminate Israel. They say it clearly. They have a clock in Tehran calculating when Israel will be destroyed. So we're fighting with an regime.
So you're saying there is no... Are you saying Israel has no option but to target Iran directly? Is that what you're saying? That is inevitable?
I think that it's inevitable, and I think it's an historical opportunity. And by the way, not only for Israel, but really for a coalition to deal with the imminent threat of Iran. Iran that seeks the nuclear weapons. We have to stop this. I mean, imagine this war now with Iran nuclear. It's not about Israel. They will terrorize the whole globe. They're operating in Europe, in North Africa, in South America. This is a very, very dangerous regime. So I believe that this is the moment where the world needs to unite and stop Iran, and Israel will defend itself. At the end of the day, we're not going to let Iran become nuclear. We're not going to let them continue terrorize us using Houthis and Iraqis, militias and Hezbollah and Hamas. All these forces are sending to fight against us. We are going to deal with this.
Okay. I'm going to leave it there, Mr. Avivi. I appreciate you joining us and doing some plain speaking from the Israeli perspective. Thank you so much for joining me there from Tel Aviv.